Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. I really hope that you check out and enjoy this week's story. Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann is an over-the-top mecha tragic comedy about evolution and countless revolutions. I can't say how much I love this show. It's just amazing. Okay, so likes, dislikes are both helpful. And please subscribe to become one of our friends. If you want to leave any comments or if you want to give suggestions for what story to cover next, Instagram is the place, Sho-kun_friends. And now let's get into it. Okay, so to begin with, no viewing of this show is actually complete without two additional things. You must watch the post-credit scene at the end of the last episode 27, and you have to go back to the very beginning to rewatch the first 3 minutes of episode 1. And that is when you've truly given it one actual watch. So getting into it, this show uses the drill as its metaphor for evolution. And yes, drills that bore holes in things. Yes, metaphor for evolution. It's bonkers and I love it. Combat is central to the show, but it's not about killing. And that's a very important distinction. The main weapon in the show is also the drill. And swords appear, but they are not central to the story or the plot. There's one moment when they're kind of significant, but they're not central. Now, the reason for combat in this show, for all struggle actually, is to be able to live in line with our true selves. In other words, to live a life with integrity. So there's also a sense of finding balance with nature that's lightly covered in the series. I would love it if it were more explicit with this, but then it wouldn't be 27 episodes. It would have to be way, way more. Sho-kun, excellent question. Thank you so much for asking. Okay, so there is a multi-layered answer to this one. Okay, so here's the simple one. It's not about fighting. Anime is not about fighting, but when it is, well, sometimes it's actually about fighting, but it's not usually. When it does have fighting and combat, it's important to have a historical context for Japan. Japan as a nation is not currently allowed to have its own standing army. It's an empire that was conquered. That's our background. Like, we're talking World War II, all that stuff. That history is part of the birth of the present age of anime that we're living in. And in one way or another, it's unavoidable. That spirit and that history is within Japanese creators in one way or another. And so, to wrap it up, fighting is not about the violence. It's about pushing oneself to grow. It's about overcoming challenges as they appear before you. Does that help? Awesome. Are you kidding? I love you. You always get my best, Sho-kun. All right. So now, according to Gurren Lagann, first we will need to struggle to gain responsibility for / power over our current world. That's the world that's been left to us by our forebears. If you want to, episode 18 explicitly covers this, but to sum it up, we will need the sum total of our elders' experiences. And then we will need them to step out of the driver's seat if we're going to have a healthy world. Pay close attention to the character of the Spiral King in regards to this if you're going to give it a watch. I hope you do. Anyway, the show is a little bit dated, and I mean a little bit. Still, all of its flaws are within a healthy range. And now, its main potential stickinesses are with women and gender. With women, this series knows what it's doing. It is self-aware. Now, one character's appearance seems like a snag to this, but there is proof that this is not just fan service, especially in the end of episode 26. And I want just a little moment here. Fan service is a disgusting term. I despise it. It fuels my anger. It's amazing. So fan service is a term within the anime community for the hypersexualization of the female form. There's no other way to put it. If you're someone who doesn't find that problematic, you're willing to call it fan service. That's how it works. I'm sorry, that's my hill. Okay, so it's common parlance when people like it, and I hardly ever like it. In fact, it's one of the few things that I find problematic with my single favorite anime, One Piece. Anyway, this is Yoko. She is a real person with her own motivations and growth arc that are not reliant upon the male characters in the show. She is an actor in the same way that the male characters are, like someone who acts in their world with volition, okay? And there's a name within the series for this like being an actor in your own world, but I won't reveal it. You gotta watch. Another dated area is representations of sexuality, gender, and gender roles. This is related to, but not the same as treatment of women. Part of this is cultural. Japan, frankly, is a bit behind America's cities in terms of kind of social thinking when it comes to just gender and sexuality. But as long as we watch this anime with these particular awarenesses in mind, Gurren Lagann is a masterpiece. So let's get to Liron, okay? So there's a gay male character, and he is an Okama. Oh, another excellent question. Short answer. An Okama is a super effeminate gay male. They're sometimes cisgender and sometimes not. Does that make sense? Okay, sweet. All right, so Liron. Liron is never insulted or made fun of for being gay or for being effeminate. Those are never an issue. There's playfulness around it, but it's never insulting. Now, the problem with Liron is that he represents a stereotype within Japanese culture of gay men being effeminate. That somehow a gay man is a woman in a man's body every time. That's just how it works. I've seen this trope played out in real life. A very happy, super effeminate gay man is very happy. Everyone's different. Everyone should be just as masculine or as feminine or as effeminate as they want to be. Also, they can choose to negate the premise of a binary in those ways, which I think is the best way to go. Anyway, now the problem is that this is what I see as the only acceptable vision of male homosexuality. Or not that I see it that way, it's the only one that I see coming at me in like visual media in Japan, basically. Like it's the main way that mainstream anime and media portray male homosexuality, and it's just it erases the complexity possible in human beings, and it could potentially, not just potentially, it reinforces some gender roles. So TLDR, it's lazy and irresponsible to view men who perform their homosexuality in this particular way as simply women accidentally born with male bodies. We have language for these kinds of nuances in the West. It's called being trans. There are different kinds of trans, or gender fluidity. Now, to conflate these things with sexuality is a mistake. So this show rarely stumbles, but when it does, it's well-meaning. There's no hate in the series. Ignorance, perhaps, of particular nuances, but no hate. Zero. This is a zero. I have at least one real-life friend who disagrees with me about this show's level of self-awareness. If any of you out there do, please let me know, and you better bring proof. So thank you so much for watching this. Let me know what you think in the comments here or on Instagram at Shukong_friends. If you watch the show, please let me know. And again, recommendations for what to watch or cover next, Instagram. All right, likes and dislikes are both super helpful, and subscribe to become one of our friends. Quick note, you can look forward to meeting our next friend, Joy, in our next video. Peace.